Welcome back. Phil Harding is a Colorado attorney who has been practicing law for 34 years. He's a super lawyer for over 13 years, a AV-rated lawyer, and he was elected one of the top 100 trial lawyers in Colorado for 14 years. That's quite the resume. Today we'll be talking about common law myths in both criminal and civil law. Phil, welcome back to GDC, and let's bust some of these myths.
Yeah, let's talk about them. I get calls all the time, and here's some good things to know. Let's talk about civilly, right? Some civil myths. And maybe we have a graphic for it.
All right.
And the first thing I always hear from people is, can you record a phone call? And so Colorado is what's known as a one-party state. Let's say you and I are talking on the phone.
Right.
You can record the phone call, and you don't have to tell me about it. Now, here's the problem. If you're calling someone in California, which is a two-party state, you cannot record it. So because you're reaching, through state lines,
what if you ask permission?
Now, if you ask permission, obviously you can record phone calls all they want.
Would that hold up in court, though?
You bet. And the other thing that you need to know is if you just have to notify someone that you're recording. And if they're like, I don't give consent, it's like, okay, well then hang up. I don't care. I'm going to record it anyway.
All right.
The next thing, must a contract be in writing to be enforceable? And so there are 5 exceptions, which is called statute of frauds. And for example, marriage, something regarding land, something that takes more than a year to perform. Like if I were to hire you for a 2-year contract, that would have to be in writing. But generally, contracts do not need to be in writing to be enforceable. But the only problem is, if you sue on it, it's going to be your word against someone else. So here's a little tip. Let's say you're going to hire someone to clean up around the house, and they're like, we'll do it for $500. Pull out your phone and say, you know what? So we don't have to write this down. I'm just going to record. You're going to do this for $500. You're going to, rake and do all that. And the guy's going to say yes. So now you have that in a recording.
That'll hold up.
Yeah, that'll hold up.
How about if you have it in writing?
So
just like over an Instagram, like direct message, like I'll buy this from you. Here's the purchase price, and it's written all.
Yep.
That'll hold up.
You bet. That's evidence.
All right.
Yeah, and it's always a question how you get the evidence in. I mean, you testify that this is my phone and this accurately reflects it, and I didn't change it or any of that kind of stuff. Next, most cases go to trial, and again, we're talking civilly here, not criminally. But of the cases that come into my office, 1 out of 20, I have to end up filing a lawsuit on, so that's 5%. Of the ones that I file a lawsuit, about 1 out of 10 actually goes to trial, so less than 1%. The last thing, car accident. Let's say the person that runs into you has no insurance at all, right?
Which happens, yeah.
There's a couple things that can go on. First of all, it's required under Colorado law that your insurance has to give you uninsured, underinsured unless you signed a waiver. Never sign that waiver. Number 2, if the police respond, and I want you to always call the police if there's an accident, the person that ran into you, you can ask for this thing called restitution during his criminal proceeding. You can say, the guy didn't have any insurance, and now I had to pay $4,000 to get my car fixed. So restitution can be ordered.
All right. So
let's talk about criminal law.
Yeah, let's talk a couple more.
Okay, so criminally, first of all, I don't practice criminally, so don't call me on any of this kind of stuff. But Miranda rights, a lot of people think, oh, you know what, if I say anything, the cops can't use it against me unless everyone's heard of Miranda, right? You got the right to remain silent, blah, blah, blah. All right. The police do not have to read you Miranda rights if they're just talking to you and you're not in custody. In other words, if they just walk up to you and go, hey, what's going on? Did you commit this crime? And you go, yes. Then you try to exclude that because of Miranda. Nope, you weren't in custody. Now, the last thing that I really want to throw up is when a cop comes and pulls you over, let me tell you what I do. I put my hands on the steering wheel, and they're always shocked. They're like, what's going on? Why are you doing that? Look, they have a wide discretion on whether they write you or not. And I just say, professional courtesy, I know what you're doing is dangerous. I want this to go as smoothly as possible.
Right.
In the past 10 years, I haven't gotten any tickets. Just because you treat the guys with respect, they're going to treat you with respect. There are some people that say, just roll down the window, hand things out with a little piece of paper that says, I know my rights.
Be a human. Be a human.
They're doing a job. It's dangerous. Make it easy for them.
Great tips. I wish we had more time, man, because I love these tips, and they're also useful. You know what I mean? Just do the right thing. And sometimes. To reach Harding and Associates directly, call 303-762-9500. You can get a free consultation anytime, and you can find Phil online at hlaw.com. Again, thanks to Phil for sponsoring this segment. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.